Ethan stood at the edge of the observation deck, staring out at the swirl of colors below. The alien planet orbited slowly, its vast oceans shimmering like molten glass, and clouds swirled in strange, iridescent patterns. The station hummed softly beneath his feet, a network of steel and light floating above a world that seemed alive. Humans had been studying alien life for decades, but each encounter brought surprises, and this one promised more than usual. He glanced sideways and saw Lyra for the first time that day. She moved differently from humans, fluid, deliberate, almost as if she didn't just walk, but glided across the surface. Her translucent suit shimmered, reflecting the soft light of the station, and it was hard for Ethan not to be captivated. She wasn't human, but something about her presence was magnetic. "You're observing the planet again," she said, her voice a melodic whisper that carried across the quiet room. She stepped closer, and Ethan noticed the subtle patterns on her suit shifting with her movements. It was a visual language he didn't understand yet. "Yes," he admitted. "It's incredible. I've seen images, simulations, but seeing it in real time, it's something else." Lyra tilted her head, a gesture that seemed thoughtful. "Humans often measure the world in what you can hold or touch. But some things exist beyond your hands." Her eyes glimmered. "Do you think you can understand it?" Ethan hesitated. He wasn't sure how to answer. He had spent years studying alien cultures, learning languages and customs, but standing next to Lyra, he realized how much more there was to learn. Understanding wasn't just about observation, it was about empathy, imagination, and sometimes intuition. "I'd like to try," he said finally, "to understand." A small smile appeared on Lyra's face. "Good. Understanding is the first step toward trust." They spent the next hour walking along the observation deck, exchanging questions and answers. Ethan asked about her home planet, about the way her people interacted with the natural world, about the logic behind their diplomatic practices. Lyra answered patiently, but every answer seemed to carry a layer of meaning he couldn't fully grasp. At one point, she paused and looked at him directly, her expression unreadable. "You want to know if I'm not wearing anything underneath?" she whispered. Ethan froze. The words echoed in his mind, confusing him. He had expected alien curiosity, odd questions about human customs, but this sounded different. He opened his mouth to respond, but no words came. Lyra's lips curved into a faint smile. "Do not misunderstand. You humans often take words at their face value, but we use language differently. What I said was not meant to tease or seduce. It was meant to see your reaction." Ethan's mind raced. "A reaction?" he repeated. "Yes," she said. "Trust is tested in many ways. Words, actions, even silence. How you respond tells me about you." He swallowed hard, feeling a mix of relief and curiosity. She wasn't trying to provoke him in a harmful way. She was observing, learning, testing the boundaries of his understanding. That thought calmed him. I think I understand," he said slowly. "It's not about the words, it's about the meaning behind them." Lyra nodded once, sharply. "Exactly. Humans can be predictable, but you surprise me." They continued their walk, and Ethan began to notice subtle details he hadn't before. The way her suit responded to her emotions, the way her eyes reflected the light differently depending on her mood, the almost imperceptible signals she sent through posture and gesture. It was like learning a new language, one built not of words, but of presence and energy. Later, they joined a small group of researchers in the station's lab. Alien specimens floated in containment fields, their forms twisting and shifting in ways humans could barely comprehend. Ethan marveled at their structure, organisms that seemed both fragile and resilient, designed for survival in conditions humans could not endure. Lyra moved among the specimens with ease, explaining their functions, their life cycles, and their peculiar behaviors. Ethan tried to follow, taking notes and asking questions, but his attention kept drifting back to her. There was something in the way she observed the aliens, the way she spoke about them with reverence, that made him realize she valued life in ways he had not fully appreciated. At one point, a small crisis arose. One of the containment fields flickered, threatening to release a volatile organism into the lab. Alarms blared and humans scrambled to stabilize the field. Ethan froze for a split second, unsure of what to do, but Lyra acted immediately, her hands moving over the controls with precision. She guided him through the necessary steps, her voice calm, reassuring. "You can do this," she said. "Trust yourself. Trust your instincts." Ethan followed her instructions, and together, they stabilized the field. The danger passed, leaving a tense silence in its wake. He looked at her, admiration growing. "Thank you for trusting me to help," he said. Lyra's expression softened. "Trust is not given lightly. It is earned through action and understanding. Today, you earned it." As the day progressed, Ethan realized that this encounter was more than a scientific mission. It was a lesson in humanity itself, how courage, empathy, and understanding could bridge gaps that seemed impossible. He began to see himself not just as a human studying aliens, but as a representative of his species, capable of earning respect across worlds. By evening, the station's lights dimmed, and the observation deck glowed with the soft colors of the planet below. Ethan and Lyra stood together, looking out at the horizon. The silence between them was comfortable, filled with mutual understanding rather than words. "You humans are fascinating," Lyra said finally. "Not because of strength or intelligence alone, but because of your resilience, your curiosity, your ability to face uncertainty and still act with purpose." Ethan felt a swell of pride and humility at her words. "We try," he said. "Sometimes we fail, but we try." She tilted her head again, a gesture of approval. "Then you are ready for what comes next. Challenges will test you, but they will also reveal your true potential." He nodded, though he did not yet understand what she meant. There was a sense of anticipation in the air, as if the station itself held its breath. Ethan realized that the whisper earlier was only the beginning. Trust and understanding were not given. They were tested, nurtured, and proven in moments of decision. That night, as Ethan rested in his quarters, he reflected on the day's events. The planet below glowed softly through the window, and the hum of the station was a constant reminder of the fragile balance between life and technology, between species and understanding. He thought about Lyra's words, the whispered line that had confused him at first, but now made sense. It was never about what humans assumed. It was about observation, judgment, and the subtle tests that revealed character. In his mind, he replayed the moments. Her eyes, the way her suit shimmered, the way she had guided him during the lab incident. Each detail carried meaning. He realized that humanity's greatest strength was not just physical prowess or technological skill, but the ability to act with empathy and courage when faced with the unknown. As sleep overtook him, Ethan felt a sense of purpose. The journey ahead would not be easy. There were threats, cultural misunderstandings, and challenges he could not yet foresee, but he was ready to face them, guided by curiosity, respect, and the lessons he had learned from Lyra. And somewhere in the depths of the station, Lyra observed him, silently acknowledging his potential. Trust had been tested, and he had passed. The future was uncertain, but for the first time, Ethan felt a clear path forward, one that would shape not only his destiny, but perhaps the way humans were seen across the stars. The whisper that had startled him now seemed like a key unlocking a larger truth. Understanding, empathy, and courage could transcend worlds. And as the planet below turned slowly, Ethan knew that this was only the beginning of a story far greater than himself. A story of humanity reaching beyond its own limits, guided by heart as much as mind. The hum of the station was louder than usual that morning. Ethan woke to the flashing red lights of an alarm system echoing through the corridors. His heart raced as he grabbed his communicator, trying to assess the situation. Lyra's voice came through almost immediately, calm but urgent. "Ethan, we have intruders in the lower sectors. They are targeting the research labs," she said. Ethan didn't need further explanation. He had trained for emergencies, but nothing could fully prepare him for facing a threat with unknown abilities. The Rogue faction was a group of aliens who rejected peaceful diplomacy. They saw humans as weak and sought to exploit the station's research for their own gain. He met Lyra at the central hub. Her suit shimmered with alert colors, signaling heightened awareness. "We need to act fast," she said. "Containment protocols will slow them, but it will not stop them completely. We must intercept." Ethan nodded, feeling adrenaline sharpen his focus. He grabbed a portable energy stabilizer, a device used to secure volatile research specimens, and followed her through the twisting corridors. As they moved, alarms rang in sync with the flashing lights, creating a sense of urgency that made every step feel heavier. They reached the lab, and Ethan's eyes widened. Several intruders had bypassed the outer security fields. Their forms were strange, partly cloaked, shifting shadows that seemed to move faster than humans could follow. They were trying to hack into containment systems, and one wrong move could release dangerous organisms. Lyra assessed the situation quickly. "We can't confront them directly. They are too fast. But we can use the stabilizers to create a barrier and redirect them into the containment zones. Then the station's automated defense can isolate them." Ethan glanced at her, admiration growing. She was calm, precise, and fearless. "Lead the way," he said. They split into coordinated movements, weaving between consoles and containers. Ethan activated the stabilizer, sending a pulse that created a temporary energy barrier. The intruders recoiled, their forms flickering as if disturbed by an invisible wall. Lyra moved alongside him, her hands guiding his adjustments. Her voice steady. "Good. Keep it up. They will regroup, but we can anticipate their moves," she instructed. Ethan followed her directions, each step increasing his confidence. He realized something important. Humans had the ability to improvise, to adapt in ways that even advanced alien technology could not predict. While the intruders relied on speed and force, Ethan and Lyra relied on strategy, observation, and teamwork. As they pushed the intruders back, Ethan noticed that one of the attackers tried to flank them through a side corridor. Without hesitation, he blocked the path, using the stabilizer to create another barrier. The alien hesitated, then retreated, clearly frustrated. Lyra's eyes met his. "You are learning quickly. Your instincts are exceptional." He smiled, though there was no time to celebrate. "I'm just following your lead." Together, they herded the intruders into a secure containment chamber. Once inside, the automated defense system activated, locking the doors and neutralizing the threat. Ethan exhaled, the tension leaving his shoulders slowly. "That was intense," he admitted. Lyra's suit shimmered gently. "Yes, but it was also revealing. Courage under pressure is one of the most valued traits. You displayed it." He felt a sense of pride, but also humility. Humans were often underestimated by other species. Yet here, in the heart of an alien station, he had proven that humanity could act with intelligence, courage, and composure. Later, in the quiet aftermath, Ethan and Lyra walked along the observation deck again. The planet below glowed in soft blues and purples, its oceans reflecting the light of distant stars. The hum of the station felt peaceful now, as if the danger had never existed. "You humans are remarkable," Lyra said softly. "Not because you are stronger or faster, but because of your spirit. Your willingness to act, even without full knowledge, is admirable." Ethan nodded. "We have to rely on more than strength. We rely on ideas, teamwork, and determination. That's how we survive." Lyra tilted her head, studying him closely. "And yet, many species dismiss these qualities. They focus on the obvious: power, size, technology. They overlook what truly defines a being." Ethan thought about that. Perhaps that was why humans were underestimated. Their value lay not in what they could display immediately, but in what they could accomplish when faced with challenge, uncertainty, and risk. As the day passed, Ethan and Lyra worked together to inspect the damage caused by the intruders. Containment fields had been disturbed, systems compromised, and data disrupted. But thanks to their efforts, nothing of high importance had been lost. The aliens' attempt to steal research had failed. During the repairs, Ethan realized something profound. Lyra's people were more than diplomats or scientists. They were observers of life, capable of subtle judgments about character, ability, and intention. Her earlier whisper, the one that had startled him, was part of this process. It had been a test to see how he would react, to measure his composure, integrity, and understanding. "You passed, Ethan," Lyra said quietly as they worked side by side. "Not all humans would have acted as you did. Many would panic or hesitate." He felt a warmth in his chest, a mixture of pride and newfound responsibility. "I didn't act alone. You guided me. And I realized we all have potential to do more than we think. Sometimes it's just a matter of trusting ourselves." Lyra smiled, a gesture that made her eyes shine even brighter. "Yes, trust is a bridge between beings. Once it is established, it allows for cooperation, understanding, and growth. Today, you crossed that bridge." Ethan reflected on the day's events as he returned to his quarters. The station was quiet, the alarms silenced, the corridors empty. Outside, the alien planet rotated slowly, its surface reflecting a world untouched by conflict, a reminder of what was at stake. That night, he could not sleep. Thoughts of the intruders, the chaos, and Lyra's words filled his mind. He thought about humanity's place in the galaxy, not just as explorers or scientists, but as beings capable of courage, ingenuity, and moral action. He realized that trust, empathy, and courage were not just personal virtues. They were human weapons in a universe that valued strength and cunning above all else. The following days were a mix of diplomacy, repair work, and observation. Ethan and Lyra continued their interactions, sharing knowledge, exploring the station, and preparing for future encounters. Each conversation revealed more about alien culture, but also about humanity's potential. One afternoon, Lyra led Ethan to a chamber he had not seen before. The room was filled with holographic projections, displaying ecosystems from multiple planets, their organisms interacting in complex ways. It was a visual symphony of life, showcasing evolution, survival, and adaptation. "This is our learning chamber," Lyra explained. "We observe life to understand it, but more importantly, we observe those who study it. Character, judgment, and spirit reveal as much as knowledge." Ethan looked at the holograms, but his attention returned to Lyra. "You've been teaching me all along, not just about your species, but about what it means to be trusted, to act with integrity." Lyra nodded. "Yes, and in doing so, you teach others what humans are capable of. You prove that courage, intelligence, and empathy are qualities to be respected, regardless of species." In the quiet of that chamber, Ethan realized that the whispered line from the first day was no longer confusing. It had been a subtle lesson, a reminder that understanding required more than surface perception. It required attention, patience, and moral strength. Weeks passed, and the station returned to normal operations. The rogue faction was neutralized and diplomacy resumed. But Ethan's relationship with Lyra had evolved. It was built on trust, respect, and admiration, values far deeper than anything superficial. One evening, as they stood together overlooking the alien planet, Ethan spoke. "I've learned something important. Humans are not the strongest, the fastest, or the most advanced. But when faced with challenge, we adapt, we think, and we act with purpose. That is our strength." Lyra looked at him, her eyes reflecting the glow of the planet below. "And that is why you earned my respect. Not through words, but through deeds. Not through appearances, but through action and understanding." Ethan felt a sense of accomplishment, but also of humility. He understood now that humanity's potential was not in dominance, but in resilience, intelligence, and moral courage. He had faced the unknown and emerged stronger, not alone, but with guidance, cooperation, and trust. As the stars shone brightly beyond the station's windows, Ethan knew this was only the beginning. Humanity's journey into the galaxy would be full of challenges, misunderstandings, and threats. But with courage, empathy, and ingenuity, humans could rise above expectations, earning respect not through force alone, but through the very qualities that defined their species. And somewhere beside him, Lyra acknowledged that humans were more than they seemed, beings capable of great heroism, understanding, and hope. Trust had been given, tested, and proven. The galaxy would remember the actions of this one human, a symbol of what humanity could achieve when it embraced its best qualities. Ethan breathed deeply, feeling the weight and the promise of the future. Challenges awaited, but so did opportunity. And in that moment, he realized the whispered line from their first meeting had been true in a sense he could not have foreseen. Not about what humans lacked, but about what they could reveal when pushed to act with courage and integrity. The station continued its orbit, the planet turning slowly beneath them, and Ethan and Lyra watched in quiet understanding. This was the beginning of a story that spanned species and worlds, a tale of trust, action, and humanity proving its worth beyond the stars.